Welcome to Insider's Playbook, where I get practical tips from coaches, pros, and fellow players who've been there. I'm your host, Mike Rogers, a senior tennis player still grinding my way through leagues and tournaments. Today's guest is Kevin McCarthy, founder of Senior Tennis Tips, the largest online community for senior tennis players with over 88,000 members and counting. And in this episode, we'll explore how and why Kevin started the group, what TIPS really stands for, and powerful ways this community is helping players learn, connect, and grow the game. Thanks, Kevin, for being on the show. Good to have you here.
Well, it's great to have you here, Mike, and you're a great member of Senior Tennis Tips, posting up your blog and, taking us along this journey that you're on of winning a gold ball, which I think is really awesome.
Thank you.
I have to tell you an interesting story. A woman who was a mentor of mine, and I used to help her get ready for tournaments. She was number one in the world, and I was at her house in the women's age groups she was a Wimbledon finalist, lost to Maureen Conley. That's how this is in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
And I'm at her house one day and I said, her name is Betty Pratt. And I said, Betty, what's in that lamp you have? She's got this glass lamp. And at the bottom of it was all this stuff. And she said, oh, those are my gold balls. She had something like 77 of them or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she said, I had so many cases and they were taking up so much space. I just took the cases and just dumped them in there. So I've got them there just to keep them.
Wow.
It's like, I'm like, oh my God, it's like, what, and she was number one in the world in the women's 30s, 35s, 40s, all the way up till I think in the 70s. When she was in her 60s and 70s, I used to help her get ready for tournaments.
Wow.
We'd go out and hit, and I'd do a little coaching with her on some things, and it was fascinating to deal with somebody who played that. I mean, in fact, one day she called me
at that level, yeah.
Yeah, one day she called and said, "Hey, Kevin, we're playing some mixed doubles. Would you come out and play some mixed doubles?" "Oh, Betty, I'll always come out and play mixed doubles with you." And who shows up with her but Virginia Wade?
Wow.
It's like, you didn't tell me I was going to play with Virginia Wade.
No intimidation factor there.
No,
huh?
They were delightful. I mean, both were delightful women. It was just a wonderful opportunity.
Wow, that sounds
But
fantastic.
as you're on your pursuit of gold balls, there are those that just have an abundance of them. But I admire you for doing it because I've never had I've done my circuit in the men's 35s of trying to, play the tournament tennis and the nationals and doing all that. And I got injured and sort of put an end to my tennis career at that point in terms of those aspirations, and children came along and business and life and all that. So it sort of derailed my tournament tennis, but I play for fun
Never
now.
too late. It's never too late.
Yeah, well, I'm now in the super seniors, so I'm technically 71 years old in tennis terms.
Okay.
My birthday's in Christmas Day, so I'm actually 70. Yeah, but yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think about it, and then I just go, I got so many other things I'm doing. So, but
Well,
I
just
still
wait until about the 85s when the draws are a little smaller,
a little thinner. The draws are a little thinner. I better be thinner then too.
Yeah, I'm in the 65s. I can't believe how big the draws are, and I see the 70s, and the draws are still huge there, and then they start thinning out a little bit. So, hopefully I just make it that long to the 80 or 85s, and maybe that dream will come true. So,
well, a great story. When I was playing in the men's 35s, I was playing in a tournament, and a guy that I used to hit with, and he and his doubles partner were number 1 or 2 in the United States in men's doubles in the 65s. And so Nate, his name was Nate Smith, and Nate was playing a singles match at the same tournament because I was in the 35s and he was in the 65s. So I walk over to watch, I finish my match, I walk over to the fence and I'm watching Nate play, and there's 2 guys there from the 85 and over standing next to me. And the one guy turns to the other one and goes, "Oh, to be 65 again."
Exactly.
And I'm 35 and I'm going, oh my God.
He's going back when I was really mobile.
Yeah. He wasn't greedy.
Yeah, That's right. There was still hope then.
Yeah,
But
so there
yeah,
you are.
I
It's
don't think I'd wanna
all
be in
for
my
fun.
35s 'cause, it's like even now when I play leagues and playing 18 plus and I'm playing guys that are 30, 40 years younger than me, and I'm just going, "Oh, okay, this is not for me anymore."
Yeah. No, I had that happen recently where I was hitting with a guy that was 45 who was a good player, and it was just like, oh, he's hitting the ball so hard and he hits this big topspin. I grew up with flat strokes, wood
Mm,
rackets,
right.
and I see this topspin coming over the net, and and I'm hitting my arm, and it's hurting me, and I'm just like, this is nuts.
Oh, or you're hitting that ball in the corner, you're going, "The guys I play with don't get those. Why did he run there and
Yeah,
get
that's
it?"
right. Yeah, I'm hitting a little drop shot, not a very good one, but I'm hitting a drop shot, and he's like putting it back on me. It's just so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how you as we age, we gain perspective on what we had,
right.
and what we want to preserve.
Well, let's go back to the, the beginning with senior tennis tips. What really made you decide to, start that, and what was the moment that kinda sparked that?
Well, it's kind of a personal moment in a sense. There's two threads. The first one was my parents had moved closer to where we are. My mom had had a stroke. My dad died in 2014. My mom
Oh, sorry to hear.
uh, was, here, and I was doing a lot of caregiving with my mom. She wasn't living in our home. She was in a retirement facility that was 7 minutes away. But I mean, if it was the TV's not working, Kevin, I'd run over, I'd fix it. I
Mhm,
need this from the grocery store. I'd do that. When my mom died, I realized I now had like 30 to 40 hours of gained, because it was after hours of my work. I'm still working. I love what I do, but have my own business. But
mhm.
and then I started back playing tennis. I'd hurt my leg whenever I was 35. The doctor said lay off for 6 months. I think your knee will be better. My knee got better, but I never got really back to the tennis courts till I was 62.
Wow.
And, when I came back at 62, I started looking at it, and I realized, people don't pay any attention whatsoever to the seniors.
Mhm,
Every ad you see shows young people or juniors. The tennis world is geared towards the young people. So I kept saying, I'd like to do something in tennis, just for fun.
mhm.
And so I started off just creating a series of videos on how to use a backboard, how to hit a serve, how to do some things like that. They were instructional videos. And I realized that was a lot of work. But I posted them up anyway, and I started, telling some people what I was doing, and the word started to spread. And then I realized that really this isn't about me. This is about the senior tennis players. So I started asking questions, and the next thing you know, the thing just started to grow like crazy. So we're now about 3 years old, and 3.5 years old. And like I said, we've got 88,000 people. We were actually growing a lot faster. It was a public group, but it was the spam and the moderation was just taking up so much of my time. And I had two other people that were doing moderating, and one of the guys kept saying, Kevin, make this a private group, make it a private group. And I finally did. And whenever we did that, it kind of stopped around that. The growth kind of stayed at about that 88,000 as a private group. So it's been, and so it's the combination of having some time to do something, a desire to contribute to tennis that has been such a, a really great part of my life for so many decades. I mean, I'm a lifetime member of the USTA, and probably coming into I got it when think I was 12 years old. So I've been a member of the USTA all these years.
Mhm.
I was a former USPTA pro. Tennis teaching took me to Hawaii, to, all
Nice.
sorts of parts of the world. Um, it was something that I chose, and that I didn't want to make a career out of it. I'm a business guy. I have an MBA, and I wanted to pursue business more than tennis. But it's always been a part of it, and so I just pulled together a Facebook group, and I didn't really know Facebook all that well, so I threw it together, and man, it just all of a sudden it hit a curve like a hockey stick of growth, where it'd
Yeah.
be like, I'd add 1,000 members in 2 days or something like that. It was
Wow.
just exploding with growth, and I'm moderating it. But it's been really a joy, because I have seen tennis players from around the world. I've seen tennis courts that I from tennis courts cut out of savannas in Africa with logs and almost a fisherman's net and limed clay court on a savanna to places in grass courts in Monte Carlo in these amazing settings in Australia and other places. I've met some wonderful people. It's really been a cool experience to just sort of broaden my horizons of what is going on in tennis.
Well, and I agree with you because when I found senior tennis tips, I was looking for, okay, what's senior tennis out there? And it was amazing that there's nothing out there hardly at all. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so
really it's really a void, if you will. It's out there in the marketplace, and I just filled that void, and now other people are starting to sort of come into that void as well.
yes, I know. uh,
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, if I was a forerunner for some things, great. I mean,
yeah,
again, it's for the good of tennis. I don't make a penny from it. It's I've tried to monetize it, and I just like I can make my money elsewhere.
there you go. Well, it's you're doing it from the heart, and that's always going to be a lot better, and you know, make you happier. So.
Yeah.
So tell me about tips. I know that stands for training, insights, purpose, and stories, but walk us through what each of those mean to you and how they shape the group.
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever I put it together, I started off with this idea of tips, but like, all in caps. Um, what I really wanted it to be was for senior tennis players. So there's some training issues. There's some, physical things that we experience. Some of that training is tennis tips. Now we have a resident group of tennis pros that post tips, and I repost their tips. And then, so that's some of the training. The inspiration, I mean, I see a lot of inspiration. Like just the other day, I saw somebody posted, and we've had numerous conversations about it, but a guy posted, "Hey, I'm 63. Can I still be playing tennis? And I'm going to have a knee replacement." And and you have there's one woman in the group. I don't remember her name. I think it's Barbara. I mean, Barbara's had like 2 shoulder replacements, on one shoulder, another shoulder replacement, both hips, both knees. I mean, she is bionic. And people like that will weigh in and say, "Oh yeah, piece of cake. Just do your therapy. Get a good doctor, do your therapy, take your time and recover, and you'll be back you'll be back playing." I mean, it's so the inspiration of just somebody who's had knee replacements, hip replacements, um, tennis elbow issues. Those are the sort of inspirational stories that we see, as well as, there's nothing quite like seeing a couple 95-year-olds out there hitting a
Yeah,
tennis ball back and forth and going, um, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
exactly. Yeah,
It truly is a lifetime sport. And it's kind of interesting at the local tennis courts where I play. There's the local tennis pro is giving a lot of juniors lessons. He's a very good pro, so he's got some really good kids. And these kids, I see how frustrated they get, and they're 12 years old or something, and I know them, so I grab a hold of them. I say, look at me. I'm 70 years old. Your game right now is good enough to carry you the rest of your life. Whether you become a
sure.
tennis pro or not isn't the issue. You have a game for life. And consider how blessed and lucky you are that your parents invested in you to develop the strokes, the serve, and the understanding of what you have at 12. And they kind of look at me, sort of like, yeah, he's the old guy talking. But I
Right,
think somewhere in the back of my mind, it's registering, because I'll say to them, look, I'm out here hitting. I'm out
right.
here playing. It's you've got what 58 years ahead of you if you want to do it. And they kind of so I try to give them that perspective as well. And I think that's one of the things with the inspirational part. The purpose, my whole background is about helping people know their purpose in life
Mm,
and creating the strategy, structures, and alignment so so they're on their purpose. So the purpose of and I do 2-word purpose statements. And the 2-word purpose statement for senior tennis tips is realizing victory.
mm,
And so this idea of realizing victory, there can be, the victory on a tennis court
sure.
is whatever we choose to define it. For you right now, that would be a gold ball.
Right.
But you also know that your victories come in seeing that your forehand is improving. Your victories come in, "Oh, wow, I met some great guys from wherever it is that I'm playing against."
Right.
I mean, I remember playing in the 35s, there was a guy that I played against who just absolutely kicked my butt, and we were in the locker room afterwards, and I said to him, "You know, Gavin, you just destroyed me here," and he said, "Where do where do you live?" We ended up becoming friends.
Mm.
And we're still friends to this day. He lives a mile from my house. We were playing in a tournament somewhere else in the state of Florida where I live. But we connected up and then he was a tennis pro at a local country club and
Mm.
I would go up, we'd practice together and we'd hit and it's just sort of one of those things that I go back and I go, here we are both 70 years old, 35 years later, we're still friends.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've played a lot of tournaments and, I don't think I've ever met anybody that I didn't like, and we had a nice, if nothing else, a nice conversation after the match,
Yeah. And
and
I think the
some
other thing
jokes and some laughs.
Yeah, the other thing that happens, I think, is by the time you get to our age, a lot of the ego stuff, the people that are the ego ones that are slamming their rackets and screaming and yelling and carrying on whenever they were 21 years old, even like John McEnroe seems to have mellowed. I don't know. It's now a shtick for him more than it is, I think,
Right.
his personality. Well, I think it's his personality, but he's mellowed. And
Mm.
a lot of us have mellowed and we have it in perspective. That's not to say we don't have a competitive, fiery spirit. We
Oh,
do.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
just when you get on court, you're competing, and when you're off, and I've found that, you know, being an unranked, unseeded player playing the number 1 seed a lot of times in tournaments,
yeah,
but they're very willing to share, anything about my game or questions that I have, maybe about how they train, how they got to where they are, and they're happy to share. And, it's not like, oh, I have this secret I have to guard, so you can't,
yeah.
beat me the next time.
And by the way, I have to tell you, this friend of mine that we practiced, I said to him, "You need to play in the nationals." And the national clay courts were in Tampa, and he went down there and he ended up in the finals and lost to Kim Warwick, who was an Australian top 10 player at one time. And I thought, well, I don't feel so bad that he's kicking my butt the way he is.
Right.
It was like I think he ended up getting ranked 3rd in the nation that year.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of an interesting, experience to just realize he had no clue he was that good, and I had no clue he was that good. We were just guys banging around a tennis ball, but yeah, it's fun. And then the S in tips is stories. So, I'm telling stories, and what's happens is we have people that put their story up in image, in video, and in text. You're sharing your story, so it's you fit within your narrative of what you are doing is a great story for senior tennis tips because some of these people might really don't have maybe the technique or the financial capacity or the availability to be able to do what you're doing. So some people I think are living vicariously through you as you share.
Well, and hopefully people, just look at it and say, "Oh, he's going through that. I'm going through that as well," So,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
so what advice would you give to somebody who wants to be more active in your group and not just scrolling through and maybe looking at those pictures of courts and things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always think that ask a question. If you have a question about anything. I mean, we have people that post questions about rules or this happened to me in a tournament or in a league play or just in a friendly match. This happened. So ask questions. One of the things I encourage people to do too is if you want help on your tennis game, take a video of yourself, post it up, and say, "Hey, this is my forehand. What do you see?" One of the courtesies I have within the group is do not comment on somebody's game unless they ask for it.
Mm.
We have, it's just polite.
Right.
Because some people, let's face it, some people's games are really not very good,
Mm.
and all they need, let's say it's a 2.5 player or 3.0 player, and they're excited because they just learned the game a year ago, and then you have some 4.5 or 5.0 player who wants to tell them, "Oh, here's all the things you're doing wrong." And to
Yeah.
me, as a former tennis pro, our job is to encourage them and bring them along, not tell them what they're doing
Right.
wrong unless they've hired us to say, "Can you help me fix my game?" So even as a tennis pro, I rarely, if somebody was, if I saw somebody playing at the club where I was and I saw they were doing something wrong, unless they asked my advice, I wouldn't give it. Or I might say, "Hey, Mike, come on over here. Are you interested in a little tip that might help you with your forehand?"
Right.
And I got permission to do that. Well, so that's one of the things I like to do is, ask questions, post your thing, give permission if you want the feedback. If you don't want the feedback, just say, "Hey, I'm posting this, don't need any feedback, just showing you how much fun I had today."
Right.
So and it's kind of cool. Or some people actually have, now with Swing Vision, people can record their entire match. I'm
Right.
not suggesting you put your entire match up there, but it's kind of fun to put some of your, um, highlights, a highlight reel
Yeah, the
of
best points, right.
it's kind of a fun thing to see.
That 23 shot rally.
Yeah, that
That Craig O'Shaughnessy says doesn't
well, that's
exist,
actually
right?
probably 5 rallies strung together to look like 23.
Just a few lobs going from baseline to baseline.
That's right. Yeah, it's sort of like when Tracy Austin and Jennifer Capriati played in the finals of the US Open years ago. It was a lob fest. Um,
That's how it goes sometimes, I'll tell you, but,
but,
you gotta stay in them. So
we encourage, people to, if they have something historic, that they've done, post a picture if they met Pancho Gonzalez. I mean, I got to play with Pancho Gonzalez. I mean, I knew Don Budge. I mean, I go all the way back and, to share some of these stories, or if you have a picture with you, with somebody, I think that's awesome. Uh, any insight they have, on tennis. Again, I do have a rule where we have tennis pros. So it's not like, what I found in the beginning was I let people post anything that was sort of going up there. And what I found is there were a lot of tennis pros out there who really didn't know what they were doing. And they were posting what I would consider to be, potentially harmful,
mm,
technique. And particularly for seniors. I mean, that's one of the things I think with seniors, the technique is different than if you're teaching a junior right now. But so I basically said, I'm going to get some tennis pros that know what the heck they're doing. They're going to do the instructions, no instruction by anybody else. So I tend to delete a lot of these tennis pros that want to post their things, even if they're good. I
right.
still take them down just because it's a policy we have our own tennis pros, and in much the same way as as a USPTA tennis pro, if I was on vacation somewhere, I wouldn't take a friend of mine out onto their tennis courts and start teaching them lessons, giving them
Right.
lessons if they were a member of that club. You just don't do that. There's a respect you have for that. It's that person's club where they teach. Now, I would go
Right.
to that USPTA pro and I might say, "Hey, I'm a USPTA pro. Mike's a friend of mine. Do you mind if we go out and hit?" And let's assume that you were coming to me wanting some help.
Right.
"Would you mind if I help my buddy out on this? I'm not getting paid, or here's what I'm doing." And they can say yay or nay. And if they say nay, then we'll just take 3 balls out or 6 balls out and we'll hit. But if I can take a bucket of balls out and actually do some lessons, then that's a different thing. That would I don't
Right.
ever want to disrespect a fellow pro.
So if
And so
anybody's interested in trying to post some tips or something, they should just contact you first, and you guys could talk it out and see if it fits with the group and
yeah, I
if
vet
the
it.
paths
Yeah,
are crossed.
I have to vet that at that point, and see what happens also is a lot of people will just sort of post into the group and assume that they can do that, and they don't. To me, it's. I realize they're trying to help the group, but I'm trying to also maintain a certain decorum in that regard. It's think of it as a tennis club. You're a member of Senior Tennis Tips. It's a club, and
Mhm.
we have pros.
Right.
And you're a visiting pro. You're not allowed to come in unless you get permission to post
Right,
something.
exactly. Or you give the club a split. So
Well, there's no splits here, although that's the other part of it is a lot of times they're basically trying I realize they're trying to get lessons, and so at some level, they're trying to what I call poach members,
Right.
and, no pun intended, actually. They're trying to poach members, and so that's but anyway, that's sort of some of the guidelines, and what part of what makes it special is we're really doing very there's I promote my book that I wrote, with a woman who's a tennis teacher and great player, and she's in her 90s. But we have a little bit of promotion that goes on, but by and large, I try to keep it really free of stuff because there's so much. Seniors are so targeted
Mhm.
that I just don't. I'm trying to protect. I mean, mind you, it's buyer beware. They're all adults, but at some level, knowing how much crud is out there on the internet and on Facebook and social media, it's one of the ways I'm trying to provide a degree of protection for the membership.
Yeah, and you don't want people to not come back because they've seen they feel like it's getting inundated with ads or this or that. You want it
Right.
to maintain that integrity, and as a
Yeah.
member, I appreciate it, so
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. I mean, as moderators, I'm in there 3 to 4 times a day, getting rid. I mean, and we still get spammy people that come in that, work their way in and then they want to sell tennis rackets or they want to sell Bitcoin or, we have porn is another problem. We have to clean that up. It's just crazy stuff what people post.
yeah, it is, it
We're
is.
pretty cool. We're pretty clean now. We've got it pretty well straightened out.
Anything else you'd like to say as we wrap this up, about, senior tennis tips?
No, just come join. It's fun. If you're a senior tennis player, and by the way, seniors in tennis start at 30 and above, depending on the
Right.
federation you're in. So you don't have to be 65 or a member of AARP if you're in the United States. So if you want to meet an active group of tennis players from around the world, if you're traveling somewhere, you can post, "Hey, I'm going to be in the Philippines," and chances are you'll get 20 invitations and not only that, you'll probably get to eat a pig afterwards because these for the Filipinos, which is a strong population in our group, they know how to party.
Yeah.
They play and party.
Yeah, I've seen some of those pictures, and I love the food, so
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
well, Kevin, I wanna thank you for being on the pod. I will have links to your site, and, how would people, if they wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way? Is it just through the group
Yeah,
or
they can go to the Facebook and then look up for senior tennis tips, and then they can direct message me. I do have an email, which is seniortennistips@icloud.com.
Great.
And then there's also the website, which is seniortennistips.com. That's more for advertisers. If somebody wants to advertise and sort of lays out some of the rules and things we do.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you for being on the show, and, it was great having you.
Great to be with you. Thanks. And keep up the good work out there. I want to see that gold ball or at least a silver one. How's that?
I'll even take a bronze.
I understand.
Thanks.